Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode of Just Fed, where I'm playing Final Fantasy XIV. Last episode we did the entire minor quest line for Heavensward, and today we're going to go and do the Botanist quest line for Heavensward. Good morning to you, Lynn. It is my spirit well to see you again. Inspired by your words, I've been reflecting upon the relationship between man and the forest. I should like to hear your opinion on... Fufusha, I'm back! Have you any thought of tomorrow's quest? No idea what else is talking. Oh, yeah. Oh, I beg your pardon. I didn't know you had a guest. Judging by your attire, I take it you're a botanist as well. I am sorry, but our situation is unchanged. I'm afraid there are no botanists at present who can assist with your story. I won't make a burden of myself, I promise. I just need them to answer a few questions in their spare time. And what about this adventurer here? She looks like a capable sort. Lynn, well, she is certainly one of our best. But first things first, allow me to introduce you to Muji Murilla, a reporter for The Raven. She's planning a series of articles for which she requests our guild's cooperation. Specifically, she would like to follow the doings of a first-rate botanist for an indefinite period of time. And as none among us who meets her stringent requirements can afford to engage her at present, none save for perhaps you, Lynn. Ooh, my salvation has come, and her name is Lynn. What exciting adventures into botany will she take me on, I wonder. As to that, we have received a petition for aid from faraway Ishgard. You will recall our dear friend and colleague Rotloin, who resides in the central highlands of Curse as well. A friend of his is struggling to raise crops in the Ishgardian frontier, and he begs us to send a botanist to aid him. The Ishgardian frontier? That sounds positively wild. I can already picture the title, Foreign Botanist at the Four Frontier. I've got a good feeling about this. I'll go on ahead to Reutlin's place and ask him a few questions. She certainly wastes no time. Assuming you're willing to take on this task and bear with Muji, please pay Reutlin a visit yourself and have the particulars for him. I have no doubt that you will gain much from this experience. For good measure, he is here's a letter of introduction. And in case you have forgotten, Reutlin can be found at Skyfire Locks. Good luck to you, Lynn. I know where this guy is at. I remember him quite well. Don't even ask me where that came from and why, but you know, it's there. Where do we come from? Where do we go? Where do we come from? Hello. I've been expecting you, Lynn. Mrs. Muji has told me everything, and rather more besides. While the penmanship used on the envelope is impeccable, the lettering is so tiny that a loop is required to make out the letter is that the letter is to be delivered to Reutlin. Letter of introduction, never proper in is our Fufusha. She scarcely needs one of these to vouch for your skill, my friend. As you will have been informed, the petition comes not from me, but a friend. Bazael is his name, and he is a botanist engaged in settling the Sea of Clouds. That is where your task will take you, and for an extended period of time. Some years ago, Hazel Nord established an outpost there, and they seek to make the place self-sufficient. To this end, my friend has been attempting to cultivate various crops. Alas, results have been mixed at best, and that is where you come into the picture. Now, I should like to send you along to Bazael at once, except Ishgard isn't accommodating for foreigners. We must find a way to circumvent the bureaucracy. You're a guest of ours for Tom's, you say? Well then, your entry was not an issue from the first. However, I have doubts whether Mistress Muji will be permitted to accompany you. You needn't worry, I have ways of getting into places, and I will get into Ishgard. See if I don't. That is, well, I think... Naran, Bazael has returned to the Holy See to meet with you. If it suits you, I shall let him know to look for you at the Aetherite Plaza. At the Aetherite Plaza? I got it, I'll see you there, Lynn. Well. Off she goes. She probably knocked out some guards along the way. What took you so long? Your client's been waiting for the better part of a bell. Curious how I got into Ishgard, I shouldn't that. For now, let it suffice to say, if anyone asks, I'm your retainer. It's a pleasure to meet you, then, and your lively retainer as well. I am Bazail. Thank you for making the long journey to Ishgard, though we still have some ways to go, to be sure. As I'm sure you've been told, I am a botanist at Camp Cloudstop. We're heavily reliant on supplies being brought in by airship, but I'm trying to change that. Unfortunately, my ventures into farming haven't yielded the results I'd hoped for. And so I reached out to Reutloin? Yeah, sure. Who then reached out to your guild. I'll be turning to your abundant knowledge and skilled hands both. In case you're wondering, I haven't any work for you just yet. Today's a meet and greet, as it were. When I've got a specific request, I'll send a word by you, by way of your trusty retainer. And a trusty retainer there has never been. I shall convey all your messages without delay. I'd be much obliged, miss. Miss? Now then. I'd best get back to work. I look forward to seeing you again, most certainly at Camp Cloudstop. I'll remain here in Ishgard and await word from Bazail. Please come whenever you have a spare moment from your busy schedule. I love the fact that I'm getting crystals out because it's going to make my crafting a little bit easier. Since I don't have any of those. Perfect timing, Lynn. Word arrived from Bazail a little moment ago. He has a task and bids you come to Camp Cloudtop. Let us go at once. Well, thanks for coming on such short notice. To begin with, I'd like to ask your advice on crops that would thrive in this environment. Right now, our principal crop is a strain of pumpkin native to these isles. With some experimentation, we've succeeded in cultivating it. Unfortunately, hardly anything else grows that's a viable food source. It has something to do with the ratio of wind to earth aspect of Ether up here. There's a much higher concentration of the former, you see, and hardly any of the latter. Crystal greens are just about the only other thing that has worked out, and these aren't the same as what we have seen in Kurthus either. It may interest you to know that the seeds came to us from Grudania, from the Botanist Guild. Reutloin urged me to give them a try, and lo and behold, they cropped up like weeds. Strange things do happen, eh? But in the end, Gasol greens are fit only for chocobos, and what little I am managing to grow at the moment doesn't make up for the shortfall of supplies. If we're to keep feeding the garrison, we need to find more crops that grow, and set about growing them as soon as possible. Or soon we'll all be supping on bird fodder. And so I'd like to ask your opinion in selecting a crop. What quality is the most critical? Hardens to elevation. I see. In that case, we might try a plant that's native to highland regions. That reminds me, a hunter I spoke with recently mentioned having seen wild onions in the Divanian forelands. A Cyclops onion, they're called, and I fancy our chances of cultivating them. If we succeed, they would make a welcome addition to our rations. I'd be grateful if you could gather and bring me 10 bulbs. That's onions. Bloody onions. Ogres. I like onions. We have layers. God save me. Swear to God, I'm crazy. Right. Give me the onions, please. Yes. Yes! Hey, nice. Got a double. Once again, hidden. And rip. I was wondering, like, am I going to get another chance? Or not? Aha. Double the yield, double the fun. There we go. Do you yield? Still so funny. I still haven't watched that movie, which is surprising considering I've been like a fucking big Nintendo fan, but I guess I'm like a Nintendo fan, but like more for the games and less for anything else surrounding it. Have you gathered the Cyclops onions? They can be found growing wild in Javanian forelands. I know. Here. My, they're far larger than I dare hoped. My thanks, then. I shall try to grow them in our test plot right away. A test plot, you say? That's right, miss. Before we grow something in earnest, we need to make certain that it won't be a detriment to other crops. Though sustenance is important, so too is sustainability. If we don't think ahead, we're liable to damage the environment, and that would leave us with nothing. I see. Pioneers must be at once bold and cautious, a delicate balancing act. With that, I believe I have sufficient material for my first article. I'll go on back to Ishgard to send my notes to the chief editor. See you at the Aetheryte Plaza, Lynn. Right. Yeah. Glad tidings, then. The chief editor was utterly taken by my draft, and the first installment of my series will soon grace the Raven. Oh, and lest you wonder, I'll make sure to withhold names and locations. It's an Ishgardian outpost after all, and we can't well have such details known to all and sundry. Whatever, listen to this. So it was that the dilemma of a suitable crop was solved, thanks to the ingenuity of one humble botanist. It shall not be long ere this azure frontier is blanketed in life-giving Cyclops onions. That's how I'm planning to close the article. I see you're not entirely convinced that the dilemma is solved. Well, it practically is, only I can't write practically. The statement would lose something for it. As before, I'll remain in Ishgard to await word from Bazael. I look forward to the next task. Quest complete. Am I getting XP that is based on my level? Because I'm getting 800k, which is a buttload for like Heavensward, I think. So, interesting. I was hoping you'd come by, but Bazael has another task for you. Just so you know, I won't be accompanying you from now on. While you go about your gathering, I've a mind to do some gathering of my own, for information here in the Holy See. Having said that, I will require a report from you afterwards, so be sure to remember all the juicy details. Now, off you go to Camp Cloudtop. Forward and back, and I'm forward and back, and I go forward and back, and one step forward. My thanks for your help the other day, Lynn. I am pleased to report that the cycled onions are coming along nicely. This time I need your help to maintain soil quality. As you know, soil quality gradually becomes barren with continued cultivation. In order to keep it fertile, we normally grow crops of the bean family at regular intervals. Last such beans as we have in Curthus refuse to grow here, unless we do something. I fear the soil will cease to yield crops altogether. Is there aught you can suggest? A Gradanian variety of beans? Request seeds from them, yeah. But of course, the Botanist Guild has a veritable treasure trove of seeds from all regions. There's bound to be something among them that will grow in these parts. I'm sorry to trouble you, Lynn, but could you please travel to Gridania and consult ffXIV? If anyone knows a strain of beans that suit our needs, it will be she. Yay. Woohoo. Forward and back and forward and back. My money! He says after spending a buttload of money on other things instead. Like, you know, crafting gear because he's too lazy to make them. If it isn't the toast of the guild. I've read all about your recent exploits in the Raven. You have been away only a short while and already have achieved so much. We, all of us here, are very proud of you. Oh, embellished. Well, I suppose that is simply the way of Muji's profession. And though her words may have been flowery, I choose to believe that they are firmly rooted in truth. In any case, it also all seems to be well with you. And for that I am glad. Sorry, I'm burping. Now then, was there something you wish to talk about? Cover crops for revitalizing soil, and those that will grow in the Sea of Clouds besides. This is a difficult order to fill. From my experience, I would say that Shroud Vetch would be best suited. Even so, it is not entirely ideal. Nay, it must be crossed with a Highland strain to create what Bazael needs. Now, rather than crossing strains haphazardly, I suggest you seek the counsel of a specialist that is an Ishgardian native first in the local flora. Show to him this bundle of Shroud Vetch, and he should be able to provide you with the name of a suitable match. As to where you might find such an individual, I dare say Muji will be the best person to ask. It is her business to know people, after all. 2 nations, 1 seed. Fufucha suggested that you come to me. Ooh, she's a sharp one. Indeed, it's my business to know people, and I happen to know just the person you're looking for. Martineau is his name, and he's no less than the foremost herbalist in all of Ishgard. I'll arrange a meeting right away. Actually, I wonder if it's appropriate time to intervene in the doings of my subject. Nah, never mind the details. They're the bane of a good story. I'll have Martineau come and meet you in St. Ramad's Cathedral. Off you go, Lynn. You are the botanist who wished to speak with me, hmm? You certainly appear capable, as your frenetic friend led me to believe. I always enjoyed a chance to engage with fellow lovers of nature, and being a researcher, I welcome the sight of gados like your good self. But come, I'm given to understand you seek advice on crossing strains or beans. Look at these beans. For centuries, farmers on the northern fringes of the Black Shroud, as well as the Curtis lowlands, have planted this hardy flower in early spring as a cover crop to increase soil fertility. It always held the Botanist Guild in the highest regard. Seeing such fine specimens serves to reaffirm this sentiment. As Mrs. Fufusha has already concluded, the Shroud Vetch will not prosper in the Sea of Clouds. It must needs be crossed with another strain to bring out its resilience. I would recommend Emerald Beans, a rare strain which grows in the churning mists. For your purposes, you will need perhaps 10 handfuls. And with that, I trust you now know what is required. Should you have further questions, do not hesitate to seek me out again. Right, we have to get... right. We have to get Emerald Beans, yeah? Yes. Look at these beans. Well... Oh, over there. It's like, well, where? Where are we going, bro? That's like the freaking dog with sunglasses and a freaking backpack. It's like, where are we going, bro? So good. Because it also makes sense. You stand up and your dog is just like, where are we going? I do love animals though. Even if I may be an ass to them from time to time. But they're an ass to me too, so, you know. So it's give and take, you know. Give me them beans. Me and the boys at 3:30 PM looking for beans. Yes. There we go. Miss Muji tells me you managed to get Master Martineau's advice, even though he's notoriously elusive. You truly are dedicated to your cause, my friend. Or to our cause, whatever. Ah, so these are emerald beans. If I understand correctly, the plan is to cross these with Shroud Vetch. Do you have the ladder as well? Marvelous! My thanks, then. I shall set about cross-pollinating them at once. The process will require considerable time and effort, but I'm confident that it will be worthwhile in the end. Ah, before I forget, Miss Muji left a message for you. She bids you come and meet her at the Aetheryte Plaza in Ishgard. Welcome back, Lynn, and good work. Not only did you help Bizael solve another problem, you served as a bridge connecting the people of Ishgard, of Gridania and Ishgard. In case you're wondering, I've already set off for the draft of. I've already sent off the draft for the second installment of my series. It's bound to be as successful as the first, and there's not a hint of fabrication there. Embellishments? Certainly, but no fabrication. 2 nations, 1 seed. That's the title I have in mind. Simple but powerful, even if I do say so myself. Of course, my story is secondary to all your hard work. Brazil's crops are coming along well, and it's in no small part due to your efforts. For his sake, please keep it up. As we now get luck of the pioneer. Then I've received word from Bazail. He has 2 pieces of news to share with you, 1 good and 1 bad. To begin with the good, he succeeded in cross-pollinating the 2 varieties of beans you brought to him. A new, more resilient strain is on its way. As for the bad, the vermin population has fairly exploded, most likely due to the rapid reclamation, and they're threatening the crops. Unless the pests are dealt with, they'll undo all of Bazail's hard work. Please hurry to Camp Cloud Up at once and see how he can be of help. It's awful, Lynn, just awful. Our crops are coming along so well. But now a plague of vermin is threatening to destroy it all. An alchemical concoction would deal with them quickly enough, but it's like to harm all creatures indiscriminately. What's more, there's no telling what other effects it might have on the environment. If at all possible, I'd like to protect our crops without resorting to such extreme measures. But I don't know how to go about it. You've spoken with Master Mortino before. Do you think you could seek him out again and trouble him for advice with regard to our dilemma? So many different varieties of the same thing. You look troubled, my friend. Something the matter? Though your friend's concern for nature is touching, extreme circumstances call for extreme measures. Where I and issue is, I wouldn't rule out an alchemical concoction, but tell me, what are your own thoughts on this? We should avoid killing the local fauna. So you're determined to place nature first. I respect that very well. What the fuck is he doing? I will share with you my knowledge. What the fuck was that maneuver? It looked like he was like... It looks like somebody was like trying to punch you. Like not trying, but like, you know, acting as if they're about to punch you. What the fuck? When dry distilled birch bark yields a tar which possesses vermin-repelling properties. 'Tis a trait the tree developed to protect itself from the pests. You would do well to gather birch logs at the same place the vermin inhabit, namely the Sea of Clouds. 10 pieces should suffice to begin with. Right. Let's go and get some birch logs. Over there, yeah. I do remember correctly. Bum, 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 bum. It is once again a hidden item, but this time we do have the ability that allows us to see the things. Of course. Now everybody knows what I'm talking about. Aww. I was hoping to get that pop. There we go. Bum, bum. Ra-ba-ba-bum. Have you found a way to protect our crops? To think that such a method existed. I'll begin extracting tar from these logs at once. Once again, I am in your debt. I don't know what I would have done without you, and the thought of it shames me. Here I am, professing to put nature first, yet I was powerless in the face of this trial. When I mentioned my plight to Mrs. Muji, she was very worried for me. She even offered to help in any way she could. Please, pass along my thanks to her as well. Welcome back, Lynn. Another day, another job well done. I shouldn't doubt. Oh? Miss Hill sings his thanks, you say? Well, his passion is downright infectious, as is yours. You can't help but want to help. Unless you worry, I don't allow sentiments to colour my articles. Nay, I tell it as it is, and this time, it's about respecting nature. Here's a choice passage from my draft. In that moment, a warm sensation swept over me, and I knew it for pride. The pride that in this faraway land the Gridanian love for harmony has taken root. Sounds sentimental, you say? Ah, but see, I'm simply giving voice to what all forest-born will be feeling. A small but distinct difference. At any rate, I've got another promising addition to my series, and it's all thanks to you. Keep up the good work. Hello there, then. Come for a task, have you? Well, aren't we so enthusiastic? Which makes me feel all the more sorry to disappoint. There's been no word from Besail, I'm afraid. Oh, speak of the devil, he's calling my link prayer right now, if you'd excuse me for a moment. Besail, yes, it's Mugen, how fare you? What? It's a terrible news, then. Besail has gotten into trouble with the vault. It seems my articles were brought to the attention of some dignitaries, and they're taking issue with his recent ventures. I made certain to withhold details pertaining to security, so it's not a question of leaked intelligence at the very least. To hear Besail tell it, he's just a hapless pawn in the game between the nobles. 'Twas House Samael that alerted the vault to his alleged misdeeds, a petty blow against House Hailnart. And however it happened, Besail is in trouble and we must help him. Could you please go to him and ask him for details? I'll explore all possible avenues of aid in the meantime. My thanks for coming, Lynn. To put it simply, the Vault isn't pleased with the cooperation I've received from the Botanist Guild, and now they've sent representatives to convey their displeasure. Father Aberrault and Sir Ventran Vanctorrois. I take it you're the foreigner with whom the accused has been consorting? Botanist Besail, it has come to our attention that you have been using your position of privilege to sow abhorrent seeds upon Ishgardian soil. Noted your transgressions have sparked an uproar in the vault, so dismayed was Father Aberrault. He was prompted to make the long journey to this outpost, that he might impress upon you the graveness of the matter. Presently there exist two varieties of foliage plants called Gasol greens. However, only one of them is worthy of the name, and that which is native to Curtis. The other originates from the Near East, and it is a pretender. On account of the ignorance of the masses, however, it usurped the honoured name of Gasol. To we proud Guardians, it was, and shall ever be, a different plant. We know and accept no Gasol green, save that from which the Fury has seen fit to bless us. It is a question of honour, and you have besmirched that honour by growing the foreign pretender upon Ishgardian soil. Such are the charges against you. If you would protest them, know that words alone shan't suffice. Nay, you must needs present us with conclusive proof of your innocence. We shall wait yonder, but I know we'll not wait long. If you cannot produce the proof, you had best prepare yourself for a trial by combat. Trial by combat? You might as well throw me off this island right now, and I was only acting in our nation's best interests. Seems I have no choice but to try and prove my innocence, but how? The seeds I used came from the Botanist Guild. Besides going there, I don't know what else to do. Could you please consult ffXIV in my stead? And shut up the boys of the vault. They're all a bunch of assholes. What? I know that these guardians can be hard-headed, but this beggars belief. To force their own nation, or their own notion of honor upon nature, ridiculous as they begin to describe it. Well, the folly of it all notwithstanding, you will be pleased to know that we can clear Bisel's name. The truth is the Gasol seeds we gave him are of the Curtin variety. The first botanists of a few generations past brought the plants back to Gridania, and we've been cultivating them here since. And that is not all. Research has proven that much of the Gasol greens presently grow in Ishgard are in fact Near Eastern. To which the plants under scrutiny are far closer to the true Gasol green, Gasol the Ishgardians will revere. So much for their accusations. Here, take this much of greens with you. It's the self-same as that which Bisael has been cultivating. An improved strain of Gasol greens found throughout the wilds of Curthus. An expert will be able to identify its Curtin origin at a glance. The poem will be convincing the priest of this fact. You're acquainted with the herbalist Martineau? Then that should simplify matters. I suggest you harvest some Gasol greens and present them to them and the Great Loam strain to him for comparison. Search in relatively unbeaten parts of the Western Highlands. 'Tis in such areas that you are like to find the purest specimens. 3 bunches should suffice for your purposes. Once you have enough, pray go to Martineau and have him inspect them. Good luck to you, Lynn. Right, now let me be right back and look up where I find these. Okay, so after a little bit of research, I figured out that these ones appear either at 8 PM or 8 AM. Since it's already beyond that time, I don't think I'll be able to get them. However, if you want them, if you want to get them the legit way, for God knows what reason, or just in general as a piece of information, really, you can get them right over here on a Dragon's Spit. Is it Dragon's Spit or Dragon's Pit? I do not know. Anyway, I think it's just Dragon Spit, like a spit of a dragon. Anyway, whatever. This is where you would find them, and you can find them either at 8 AM or 8 PM in Eorzea time. And now I will be right back again, because I'm gonna look through the markets and get the cheapest I can get. Okay. I have obtained the Chisel greens. I'm kind of wondering though, did she like... Did you say Chisel? Or Gisol? She said Chisel. Yeah, well, whatever. It's fine. Once again, you come to me with a troubled look. Tell me of your plight, and we shall see if my knowledge may avail you. Well, if these aren't Chisel greens, you have done well to find these, whereas they are. Yeah. And do you have something else to show me, you say? I have seen many a head of Gisol greens in my time. A specimen can be considered royalty among them. Well, I'm thoroughly impressed, but what is it exactly you would have me do? So that is the way of it. I'm ashamed to call those zealots my countrymen, but come, let us compare the greens you brought. Though their outer leaves differ, their cores are identical in hue and structure both. There can be no doubting that these 2 specimens belong to the same family of foliage plants. I shall record these findings in a missive for you to use as a testimony. There is no need for thanks. As a man of science, this is a reward enough that I can do my part to prove those old fossils of the Holy See wrong. You shouldn't even need to fucking prove this, like, Jesus fucking Christ. Get off your high horse, Volt! Have you found a way to refute the accusation against me? Please tell me you have. These appear to be Gisol greens, but it's not a variety I'm familiar with. Wherever did you get them from? Forgive me if I'm being obtuse, but these greens you brought, I'm not quite sure how they will prove my innocence. Grown under the strict supervision of the Great Loam Grovery's finest botanists, the leaves in this particular bunch of greens are almost twice the size of those seen in the local markets and fodder shops. A report written by herbalist Martineau, detailing the differences between 2 varieties of edible flora. Yet another kind of greens and a missive? This is truly the way of it. By the Fury, I must show these findings to Father Aberold. Sure, whatever. Aberold. At once. That's a giant freaking Gisol. All the Gisol greens found in Ishgard are the Near Eastern variety, you say? That is a most outrageous claim. Utterly ridiculous. What proof have you of this? My lords, please look upon these two bunches of greens. One is the Gisal accused of being foreign, and the other is the wild Chisal found in Curthus. Master Martineau, the Holy Seat's foremost herbalist, testifies that these two greens belong to the same family of foliage plants. It's a small wonder then that the foreign variety has so thrived here, for it wasn't foreign at all. Nay, my lords, it was a very much at home. Master Martineau further goes on to write thus: seeds are born from one end of the realm to another by all creatures great and small. No matter how tightly sealed, the gates will do naught to hinder their speed. Are you ridiculing our nation's policy? I wouldn't dream of it, Sir Vanctorois. I only wish to draw your attention to a time in the past, before Ishgard closed her gates to the outside world. Over a century ago, Near Eastern Gisal greens were brought over to Eorzea. Thanks to its hardiness, it thrived in our realm, becoming so ubiquitous. My god, that's a word. That it displaced many indigenous species, I think. Species such as the Curthan Gisal, which fairly disappeared. And indeed, it would have, had the Botanist Guild not continued cultivating it as a strain suited to cooler lands. These Gisals have the Gisal greens found a new home in faraway Britannia, and now they have found their way back home to Ishgard. Seeds know no borders, they will sprout wheresoever the earth embraces them. In this manner, Master Martineau ends his missive. As the matter was still undecided, I thought it best to withhold this fact, but I had received a package from Mr. ffXIV of the Botanist Guild. Contained within were seeds beyond counting, along with this message: may they provide you for your children and theirs after them for 1,000 years to come. Never in all my years have I felt so humbled. Our own people would do well to learn from this magnanimous gesture. Father, surely you cannot mean to withdraw the accusations. The Gisal greens in question were of Curthan stock all along. Our accusations were unfounded from the first. The matter is settled. Botanist Bezael, it seems we have been less tolerant than was warranted. Upon my words, none shall question your deeds or motives again. Pray, carry on as you have, in the name of our nation. Without your help, I'd most certainly be a dead man. Thank you, Lynn. Thank you 1,000 times over. You've done so much for us already. I couldn't ask any more of you. From here on, we'll endeavor to get on by our own. Or on our own. And who knows? If you work hard enough, one day we may even win over Sir Vanctorois. Now, I suspect that Miss Muji will be beside herself with worry. Please be sure to let her know all is well. Once again, thank you, Lynn, for everything. All of this happened? How did I have been there to see it all? And seats know no borders? I reckon I have the title for the final installment. Make no mistake, this clash between religion and reason will make for truly compelling reading. Ah, but I jest. I've got more sense than to invite more controversy than I already have. The article will focus on Bezael's tireless efforts and the fruit born of the cooperation between botanists. With that, everything will be wrapped up in a neat little package. Speaking of packages, would that it didn't cost me an arm and a leg to send those seeds. Now I've got nothing to show for my hard work. Oh, what I said just now. You mustn't tell anyone. I wanted to make amends for all the trouble I'd caused, you see, and so I sent the seeds in ffXIV's name. I'm glad to hear that they were of some help to Bezael. And with matters settled, our work here is done. You've been the best of subjects, then. Without a doubt, this has been the most fulfilling story I've ever written, and I couldn't have written it without you. From the bottom of my heart, thank you. Oh, I've left your reward in Fufusha's keeping. Please have it from her when you go to make your report, as I'm sure you will. Let's farm her. I'm glad to hear it ended well, and you will be glad to hear that Muji's latest article is the talk of the town. Inspired by the tale, many souls have come knocking upon our door. Those who harbor the dream of becoming a botanist for the first time, as well as those who had once abandoned that dream. The guild is livelier for their presence. In the midst of all this activity, a peculiar missive arrived from Ishgard, thanking me and the guild for our donation. I haven't the faintest inkling what this is about. A bashful philanthropist. It's a bashful philanthropist indeed, who does good deeds in someone else's name. I hope to one day get the chance to thank this person. And speaking of thanks, I have something for you. Your reward from Yuji, doubtless hard-earned, and 'tis plain from your bearing that you have grown much for your experience. Promise me that you will continue employing your knowledge and skills in service to man and nature both. Alright, and that is it for the Botanist quest of Heavensward. I hope you enjoyed this episode of just I was playing Final Fantasy XIV, and next episode we're going to go and deal with the fishing quests, which will be quite something maybe. I don't remember them, so I guess we will see what kind of fish I'm going to need to catch. This will be fine though, it's the quest afterward that's going to be hell. Anyway, goodbye.